What is this breaking? It's being reported that 6 transgenders had advanced knowledge of Charlie Kirk's assassination. What does that even mean, bro? What does that even mean, bro? Breaking news. Remember what I said about Donald Trump saying everything's transgender and then people understand it? That's what this is now. You can just put transgender in anything, in any context, in any situation. You can just apply transgender to it and people will go, that's right. That's probably the case. We have to do something. Like, the right is so easily duped on this. Yeah, like, they went, the shooter is trans. Okay, the bullets were trans. Okay, the roommate is trans. Like, what the how could people not realize this is a psychotic way to approach the situation? What if the shooter wanted to be trans? You never know, like, ahead of time. You know what I mean? It's like, when all else fails, they just lie and they go along with that lie. It just doesn't make any sense. Everybody knows transgender people are magical people. They just, like, communicate with one another through telepathy. They were sending out a beacon. It's just like when you start taking HRT, you just have this, like, these additional powers. You're a really good swimmer too. It's like, it gives you swimming powers, okay? It gives you weightlifting powers, and it also gives you the power to precog assassinations ahead of time. The richest man in the world, the owner of one of the most influential social media platforms on earth, the possessor of all sorts of US NATSA clearances, just sits on here tweeting incendiary nonsense and amplifying far-right conspiracy accounts. Yeah. Like, that's crazy. Multiple trans people in the area posted on September 9th that something big will be happening to Charlie Kirk tomorrow. Terrorist cell. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Utah's governor said in television interview on Sunday that a person previously described as a roommate of the suspect was in fact a boyfriend who was transitioning to become a woman. And he said that the person was fully cooperating with authorities and was shocked by what had happened. So the irony here is that this person, Republicans are trying to say, like, if what they're saying is true, this would mean that the trans person involved in this is unironically the good party, okay? A cis white guy shoots Charlie Kirk, and it's the trans person that's like, yo, that was fucked up. I'm cooperating with the fucking authorities. Even if there is evidence of that happening, what's crazy about the situation is that it's not the trans person that pulled the trigger, and Republicans are still like, nope, how is he cis if he's dating a trans person? Dog, what the do you mean? You don't become trans when you date a trans person, even if they are dating, which I don't even know if they are. What? Cisgender just means that you are the gender that you were assigned at birth. Transgender means that you do not subscribe to the gender that you were assigned, the sex you were assigned at birth. Okay, that's it. Cis doesn't mean gay or anything like that. There's no, like, trans cooties or whatever. So, as we covered already, they went from the shooter is trans to realizing the shooter is not trans to only going back to it now to say the shooter had the trans bullets to realizing the shooter's bullets weren't trans to now claiming that, well, the shooter was around a trans person, potentially a trans person. We don't even know if the person is trans or not. So we have found a way, or at least the Republicans have found a way to once again turn his back to trans people somehow.
Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, reportedly lived with a transgender partner in Utah, according to FBI officials.
And this is the same partner that reportedly came forward with messages from the suspect discussing the killing, including the rifle, engraved bullets, and a change of clothes.
Retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent James Gagliano joining us now. You know, we've had this conversation, my friend, about the nexus of information as we continue to unpack this investigation. If you wouldn't mind, is it relevant at all as a data point who this person, this shooter was involved with? Does that matter at all as we look at the investigation in terms of the community? Lawrence, and I think even Rachel mentioned earlier, Discord communities. How do you unpack that when
That's
people
the other
say
thing. They don't know what Discord is either. They don't. So these guys don't know what a Discord is either. So they think it's like they don't understand that there's like different servers. They don't understand that it's a communication platform where people can just like talk to one another in the same way that you can with like Skype. That's the other problem with this too, where they're just like, they're talking about shit that they don't understand at all. Right? It's just, I don't know. It's all bad.
Investigations are layered. And really, when you go to look at this now, we're seeing this new ideation, which is assassination culture.
Yeah.
What does that consist of? Starts out with a grievance. These are all grievance collectors, whether it's a mass shooter, a terrorist, or a political assassin. You add into that an ideology. My ideology is superior to yours. You're an existential threat. You're going to stop the next election. You're against my family unit. And last, moral absolutism. You believe that you are superior, your thinking is superior, and I have the right to take your life.
I don't even fully know where this, like, the roommate is trans is coming from. I think, like, they were pointing to the fact that, like, the roommate had like a face filter, like a female face filter on a TikTok that had like 3 views or something, and also that the roommate was like photographed wearing like a weird hat or something. Like, no, that I'm not even kidding. But I don't know, but they might be, but there's 2 reasons why it's like, that's not it. It's been confirmed. They found social media accounts and everything. Like, originally they were talking about it because like there was a face filter thing, but they were active on trans subreddits. Oh, they found the Reddit, right? That was not his Reddit. That was the roommate's Reddit, right? I saw it. It was like the Jordan Peterson one, right? I don't know the full details and the full background.
Was that killer or shooter, you know, he was obviously a disturbed person, but who was actually behind animating and using that disturbed person to actually, you know, kill our president? So do we know anything about that? And do you feel like our government can be trusted to dig that deep?
We're certainly not immune to political violence. I mean, in our 250-year history, 4 sitting presidents have been assassinated. We're conditioned, sadly, Rachel, that that's normal, you know, whether it's Gabby Giffords or Justice Kavanaugh. We think that that's almost our norm. Charlie was an interlocutor. He was somebody that just went to college campuses and debated. Now, in looking at this assassin and what he did, it was just a cacophony of errors and how clumsy it was. He was successful in what he ultimately set out to do in his dastardly deed. He is essentially a murderous nihilist. But the FBI now is digging deeper. Was he inspired by somebody or something? And was he directed, or did anybody provide any material support? That's important.
That's what I want to know.
Is Brian not on there because he kicked his ass out for what he said the other day? Yeah, he had to apologize for saying you should euthanize all mentally ill homeless people or some shit. Anyway, I don't know about the level of relationship, the involvement that he had. I don't know about the background of the roommate potentially, and hopefully we will find out more details. But I saw a piece from this Axios article where it literally said that the authorities were questioning whether or not to reveal the gender, like the gender identity of the cooperating witness, or not witness, the cooperating person, specifically because they thought it was like too incendiary to reveal, which leads me to believe that they might be trans. There's also Reddit footprints involved with the cooperator as well. Cooperator with the authorities, cooperator with the law enforcement agencies. Because it seems like they very quickly went to the roommate and were like, what's up? Like, what's going on with this person? Which is understandable. They're trying to develop a motive here. They're trying to figure out why this person did what he did. Authorities are investigating whether Tyler Robinson, suspected of killing Charlie Kirk, believed Kirk's views on gender identity were hateful to people like Robinson's transgender roommate. 6 sources familiar with the case tell Axios. Why it matters. Investigators believe Robinson's anger at Kirk's views could be a key to establishing a motive for the slaying of the controversial activist whose death sent shockwaves through American politics. Each of the 6 sources familiar with the investigation told Axios that investigators believe Robinson had a romantic relationship with his roommate. The latest, Utah Governor Spencer Cox confirmed on Sunday to ABC News This Week that Robinson lived with a romantic partner who was undergoing a gender transition. Robinson's roommate is cooperating with authorities, Cox said, but that Robinson is not and has not confessed to Kirk's killing. Axios sources said investigators initially wanted the information about the roommate's gender identity kept quiet because that person is being extremely cooperative with the authorities. The roommate was aghast at the slaying when speaking to investigators and shared electronic messages sent by Robinson, one of the sources said. That's what happened. Oh my God, no, the roommate said, according to the source. Here are all the messages. The phone messages indicated a sender listed as Tyler had mentioned that after the shooting, he had wrapped his rifle in a towel and stashed it in some bushes near Utah Valley University. What is so insane about this, by the way, is that the person who is trans in this situation is cooperating with the authorities, and yet every Republican has basically run with the narrative that like without any evidence whatsoever has run with the narrative that this is yet another instance of trans violence. And I suspect, given the shooter's background, that he was like a white boy, you know, from a good family, a Republican family, they will try to say that they'll go with a trans lover narrative and be like, the trans lover actually poisoned his mind and radicalized them into taking this like violent act.
Well, some outlets are reporting that the suspect lived with a transgender partner Is that accurate? And are investigators looking at this part of his life as a possible motivation?
Yes, definitely. And yes, I can confirm that. I know that has been reported. And
this is also another part of the problem with the collapse of the institutions is when you don't know if you can trust them when they say something because they've already fucked it up. Like when an official government representative tells me something, there has to be an assumption that he is, no matter what his political background is, no matter what his ideology is, I have to assume he is being sincere. I have to assume that he's not operating to score political points against like random subsects of the American population. Do you see what I mean? And when you actually reveal yourself to be biased in this regard, and so biased that you're willing to reveal half-truths or sometimes false information, and you lose that credibility, it makes it much harder to trust this person. It's like the Israel phenomena. Like this man straight up said he was praying that the shooter wasn't, one of them. Now, of course, I think he meant like, someone from Utah, but he straight up said he wished the shooter was like, not from the country. Like, I know he meant from Utah, not from Utah, but come on, dude. Yeah, he's like, I pray that the shooter was a black Muslim transgender from Mexico illegally crossing the border. Like, that's an insane thing to say, bro. You're a governor. Like, take your position seriously, please. Yeah, motherfucker said he prayed 30 hours. Also, something to reconsider. Maybe your prayers don't work, man. I don't know what to tell you.
the FBI has confirmed that as well, that the roommate was a romantic partner, a male transitioning to female. I can say that he has been very cooperative. This partner has been incredibly cooperative, had no idea that this was happening, and is working with investigators right now.
And how is that relevant to the investigation when it comes to the motive? Are you learning that?
Sure. Well, yeah, that's what we're trying to figure out right now. Again, it's easy to draw conclusions from that, and so we've got the shell casings, other forensic evidence that is coming in, and trying to piece all of those things together.
You said that the roommate is being very helpful. Has that individual explained to law enforcement what the mindset of the shooter was and whether or not it is connected to his ideology or his situation as transitioning, as you just described?
I'm not sure about not sure about that piece right now, Dan.
What?
Okay, so we're not sure if the fact that he was romantically involved, as you say, with his partner who was transitioning is relevant to the motive of the murder based on the investigation.
Well, sure. Again, all of these things we're trying to figure it out. I know everybody wants to know exactly why and point the finger, and I totally get that. I do too.
Then why are you bringing this up, bro? What the how is this helpful then? He's like, listen, we don't really know. The person who is trans is cooperating, but also don't let that get in the way of us fomenting hatred towards trans people in general. Come on now. Yeah, we can't let a crisis go to waste,
And so I just want to be careful, as I haven't read all of the interview transcripts, and so we'll have to wait and see what comes out.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We should all be careful. I guess just because that's out there are a lot of people drawing conclusions, and so I'm just trying to get as many facts as we can glean from you, since you have been involved in the investigation. And on that, the social and gaming platform Discord released a statement saying its servers were in no way involved in Tyler Robinson's alleged plot to assassinate Charlie Kirk, but it did say there were, quote, communications between the suspect's roommate and a friend after the shooting, where the roommate was recounting the contents of a note the suspect had left elsewhere. Can you tell us about that note that the shooter left?
So I can't yet. Again, those are things that are still being processed for accuracy and verification, and will be included in charging documents.
Okay, so
oh, now they want to dial it back. Okay. Not when it comes to speculating about the involvement of the trans roommate, but certainly when it comes to the actual note, can't reveal that. Sorry. That note was written by the white guy. who pulled the trigger, by the way, which is crazy.
But the note was found, or the content of the note is known by law enforcement?
Again, I can't
Okay.
share any specifics. They're looking at everything right now.
The trans lover Reddit account posted on trans-related topics, but also a bunch of right-wing subs, including Jordan Peterson and 4chan Green Text. No, that wasn't Lancelot. From what I understand, is not the shooter's account, but it's actually the roommate's account. Right? This is the shooter's roommate, shooter's trans roommate. Yeah, bunch of right-wing subs, including Jordan Peterson, 4chan Green Text. Talks about how he was not political but defensive of America and how he was against political party boxes and comment on destroying woke kids. I think, I'm gonna be honest. First of all, I think the preferred pronouns are she, okay? And secondly, I mean, looking at the profile a little bit, looking at the profile of the trans roommate, the allegedly trans roommate of the shooter, of the alleged shooter, they kind of come across like they're like a somewhat political poster, but they post on like political compass memes, like Green Text. Anon is on the BBC, literally was 85 in my room every summer where I'm at, just drink water and wear summer clothes. You aren't actively in the sun, it's not hot. But political compass memes means like this person is also brain rotted by politics, but in usually like a neoliberal direction. Yeah, that would make sense. I guess I don't see that because I'm American and not much into national, let alone international politics. It's just weird for most of us who don't really care either way. I have no opinion of Italians, and then I go on the internet and get immediately stereotyped, which I'm sure happens to you also. It's one of those situations where I could care less for America. And this is also from like 5 years ago. So their political ideology might have changed as well. People need to stop putting themselves in boxes because the political parties don't care about any of their people. They just want their money. Once again, doesn't necessarily mean that this person is a Jordan Peterson fan, you know, and mostly just like I think people are reading into it and they're trying to say that this person was like right wing or something, which, you know, could be the case, but political compass memes for the most part is like the most politically oriented sub. Levegar went through the accounts and thought it was pretty conclusive that the roommate is trans. Also, once again, this is their own personal political opinion. It could have changed over the course of 5 years. And as far as we know, they are not even remotely involved in any way, shape, or form with the actual shooter's actions. So there's that aspect of the story as well. Tyler splits a 3-bedroom apartment with roommates. One guy who desperately wants to be pro-gaming streamer, maybe trans-identifying, I think they might be trans, I from what I understand. Not maybe identifying as trans. That person was cooperative with the police. But this roommate, Lance, was also the one who claimed to have Discord messaged him, Tyler, about the shooting. Discord proved that she did not. There's no indication on social media for Lance or Tyler that they're in a relationship. This is before the FBI confirmed it. Yeah, there is the roommate. I believe the roommate is trans. It's not just the Snapchat filter. Things have, there's been more information that's come out since then. But also, once again, them being trans has nothing to do with anything. It's like saying, okay, think about it this way. He had a black roommate. So what? He had a Hispanic roommate. So what? Does that change anything? No. If it doesn't change anything, then having a trans roommate doesn't change anything either. Do you understand? Also, there's contradictory information as far as whether this person still lived with their parents or whether this person lived with their roommates, because there's been a good deal of a back and forth as well. That's what I'm saying. Why does the roommate keep coming up other than to feed into their narratives to shift blame? I guess if I'm going to be as charitable as possible, we are trying to identify what took place in terms of this person's like political journey and potential radicalization. And Charlie Kirk was an incredibly transphobic individual. And the most charitable interpretation of this is that did the shooter radicalize? And by radicalize, I mean develop empathy for trans people, but then radicalize beyond that point to take action in such a violent way? That's the question that I think in the most charitable estimation, that's what people are trying to address. Of course, the real reason why they're doing that is so that they can somehow tie this political violence back to trans people in any way, shape, or form that they can. The dumbest version of this would basically be if they were like, the shooter was around a trans person at one point in their lives. So who could say who radicalized them? You know what I mean?